Healing from betrayal begins with one difficult but necessary truth. Betrayal is not simply a painful event. It is a rupture in trust. And because trust is one of the foundations of emotional life, betrayal often wounds more deeply than ordinary conflict or disappointment. In 2010, the clinical psychologist Stanley Rachman, professor emeritus of psychology, described betrayal as the experience of being harmed by the intentional actions or omissions of a trusted person. That definition remains important because it tells us that betrayal is not merely about what happened. It is also about who it came from and what that person or institution once meant to us. If we are to speak seriously about healing, then we must first speak seriously about injury. The person who has been betrayed is often not only hurt, that person is disoriented. The world no longer feels as safe, the self no longer feels as certain, and the mind begins asking painful questions. Was I blind? Was I foolish? Can I trust my own judgment again? These reactions are not signs of weakness. They are psychologically understandable responses to violated trust. This is precisely what the betrayal trauma literature has tried to explain. Jennifer J. Freyd, professor emerita of psychology at the University of Oregon, together with Bridget Klest and Carolyn Allard, reported in 2005 that high betrayal trauma was associated with anxiety, dissociation, depression, and physical health symptoms. That finding matters enormously for any discussion of recovery, because it reminds us that betrayal does not remain politely in the realm of feelings. It can move into the body, into sleep, into concentration, into memory, and into the nervous system itself. Healing, then, is not just a moral or emotional matter. It is also a psychological and physiological process. This is why the first stage of healing is recognition. One must name the injury accurately. Many betrayed people delay their own healing because they minimize what happened. They tell themselves they should be over it by now. They compare their pain to other people's suffering. They try to look composed while inwardly collapsing. But healing does not begin in denial. It begins in truth. To say, "This harmed me deeply," is not self-indulgence. It is psychological clarity. Scholar Jennifer M. Gómez, associate professor at the Boston University School of Social Work, has argued that healing from betrayal trauma must be understood as more than symptom management. In her 2016 review on healing from betrayal trauma, she emphasized that betrayal is relational in nature, which means that healing must also involve the restoration of dignity, connection, and agency. That is an important academic correction. It means recovery is not simply about becoming less anxious or less distressed. It is also about becoming whole enough to trust one's perceptions again, to set boundaries again, and perhaps one day to enter relationship again without surrendering one's self-respect. Healing also requires us to understand that betrayal creates a crisis of meaning. People do not only ask, "Why did this happen?" They ask, "What does this say about me?" And that second question can be especially dangerous. For many people, betrayal quickly becomes self-accusation. I was not enough. I should have known. I am somehow defective. But these are not sound conclusions. They are the distortions of pain. The task of healing is not merely to feel better. It is to think more truthfully. This is where the work of Kristina Gordon and Donald Baucom becomes especially valuable. In their 1998 model of forgiveness and recovery, they described healing from interpersonal injury as a process that unfolds in stages. First comes the impact of the injury itself. Then comes meaning-making, where the injured person tries to understand what happened and what it means. Finally comes a movement toward adaptation and readjustment. This staged understanding is helpful because it protects us from false urgency. Healing is not one decision made on a dramatic afternoon. It is a sequence of psychological tasks, and each task deserves time. A further point must be made with care. Healing does not always mean reconciliation. This is where academic research on trust repair becomes useful. Peter H. Kim, professor of management and organization, and his colleagues showed in 2004 that trust repair depends on the kind of violation involved. Their work suggested that competence-based failures are repaired differently from integrity-based violations. Betrayal is usually experienced as an integrity violation. The issue is not simply that someone made an error. The issue is that someone violated what they knew had been entrusted to them. For that reason, apologies may matter, but apologies alone are rarely sufficient. Where trust is to be rebuilt, it must be rebuilt on accountability, transparency, and sustained behavioral change. Even so, there is room for cautious hope. David C. Atkins, a clinical psychologist and research professor in psychiatry and behavioral sciences at the University of Washington, found with his colleagues in research on couples facing infidelity that such couples often entered therapy with higher levels of distress, yet many improved over time. That finding should not be romanticized. It does not mean every relationship should survive betrayal. It does not mean pain disappears because two people remain together. What it means is something narrower and more responsible. It means that severe relational injury does not make healing impossible. Some heal together through truth-telling, therapeutic work, and change. Others heal apart through distance, grief, and the rebuilding of a new life. Both can be valid forms of recovery. There is also evidence that healing may eventually include growth. Deb Losser and her colleagues, in a 2017 study on women who had experienced relational betrayal, found that some participants showed symptoms severe enough to meet criteria for post-traumatic stress, yet post-traumatic growth was still possible. This is a crucial distinction. Growth does not mean the betrayal was good. Growth does not justify the injury. Growth means that, over time, suffering can be integrated into a wiser and stronger sense of self. One may emerge with clearer boundaries, better discernment, and a deeper commitment to truth. So what, then, is healing from betrayal in academic terms? It is the gradual restoration of coherence after relational injury. It is the rebuilding of trust in one's own perceptions. It is the movement from shock to understanding, from fragmentation to steadiness, from self-blame to self-respect. It is not forgetting. It is not pretending. It is not offering forgiveness as a performance while the wound still festers underneath. Healing is a disciplined and truthful process by which the injured person learns that what was broken around them does not have to define what remains within them. And this, perhaps, is the most important conclusion. Betrayal can alter emotional life profoundly, but it does not possess unlimited authority over the future. The literature by Rachman, Freyd, Gómez, Gordon and Baucom, Kim and his colleagues, Atkins and his colleagues, and Losser and her team all point, in different ways, toward the same truth. Recovery is possible, not quick, not simplistic, not theatrical, but possible. It begins with recognition. Boundaries strengthen it. It is deepened by meaning-making. And it matures when the betrayed person stops asking only, "Why was I hurt?" and begins asking, "How shall I now recover with integrity?" That is the work of healing, not to erase the past, but to reclaim the self from it.